Hey, how are we doing, you guys? Kyle back here again. I just got a couple things to talk to you about. I always mean to say this in the beginning of the videos. For whatever reason, I always forget, but I'm remembering now. Please, if you feel like, listen to me in the background. That's how I listen to a lot of these kind of like talky videos from other YouTubers. I play them on in the background so I can listen to them while I'm cleaning or doing other things. And I feel like it's easier for that to kind of digest into my mind while it's in the background, but I'm still, listening to it. If you want, you can watch me the entire time as well. That's totally up to you, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there. So, I recently had a comment left with someone asking how I deal with the urges to drink, and I don't really get them anymore. I really don't. As some of you know, I've just recently celebrated my second year anniversary of sobriety, and at this point, drinking and those kind of urges and all those things definitely was something that I used to do. It'll always be a part of me, and I know that I can't drink. It's a very much so a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing for me. So, but it's those physical urges, those societal or kind of like cultural urges just aren't there anymore for me. And I think a huge part of that is that I have changed my environment. So, whereas before I was getting off of work and then going to bars and hanging out with people that drinking was a big role in their life, whether or not they were alcoholics or drunks or lushes or whatever you want to call it. I changed that. I stopped going out to those places. As a lot of you know, I am a bartender and a server at another brewery, so I work at two different breweries. But that aspect is still, that's my job, and I enjoy doing that. But especially in the beginning, if your free time has been to go out to bars or tap rooms or what have you, you're going to have to switch that, and I've said a lot in the past, my 4-step method, which is admitting you're an alcoholic, stopping drinking, filling the void with other stuff, and then just knowing that it gets better. So this is kind of more that filling the void aspect of things. So changing your environment is huge. It also kind of goes hand in hand with this next one, which is being very vocal about the things that you're going through. So admitting you're an alcoholic, not only to yourself, but to people around you and people in your life, because that typically will stop those kind of offers being put your way and those kind of tests that you're going to have to run through. Because if someone tells you, that they're an alcoholic, you're not going to be like, well, we should probably invite him to the drinking weekend. We can just say he's not going to drink. It just doesn't really happen like that. People just don't want to be looked at as the asshole who dragged an alcoholic to a full-on drinking event, And you also, by being vocal, it doesn't allow your mind to have time to rationalize whether or not you want to go through with something. So if you've been vocal and you've told everyone that you're an alcoholic, they know not to even offer anything to you. And then if in chance it kind of does happen, you can just let people know, oh no, I'm actually an alcoholic, I don't drink, even if that, because it'll register as a very confident move on your part. Even if it doesn't feel very confident, doesn't feel like very brave or anything, it will register to that person that it is a very confident move that you just did, because you're opening up to something that is, pretty personal and takes a lot of guts to like let people in on that aspect of your life. And you'll realize with time that becomes something that's, as simple as like handing a business card to someone. It's just part of who you are. The analogy that I've kind of thought of, I heard it in another video. Oh my God, this totally applies. Is imagine it's like when you're growing out a beard. And this, you don't need to be a guy to get this analogy. But so when you first start growing out your beard, people are kind of like, what are you doing? That's not you. You have all this facial hair that looks really weird. And then people say like, how long are you going to do this for? Why are you doing this? Like all these different things, but you just keep doing it, Before you know it, nobody even talks about it anymore. Nobody cares. It's just a part of who you are, Now you have a beard. And people just kind of accept that, and no one is going to tell you to not do it. And then people that you meet from that point moving forward only know you with the beard. So it's really just that transitional period that you kind of got to like get through. And then, after that, they just know that's you. So you can kind of apply that with alcohol. Everyone that you know in your life, you're going to be saying like, oh, I'm an alcoholic, I can't drink, and people will ask you questions about it in the beginning, or, they might want to talk to you about it. But after that kind of first ripple effect kind of starts wearing out, people that you meet in the future, like people that I meet, they just know me as sober. Even if they ask, like, oh, you want to grab a beer? I'm like, I don't drink, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. And you'll realize in time that just, at least for me, it used to be very important that I told people, not the entirety of the backstory, but I would let them know, I'm like, hey, I'm an alcoholic. Actually, I don't drink and I've been sober this long. For me, in the beginning, that was so like important to me and it was very vital for me. Whereas now, it's something I just say, I don't drink, If they want to talk about it, I'm an open book. Absolutely, I'll talk about it. But it's no longer important for me to kind of like hammer in that fact into other people's heads. It's just kind of a part of who I am. I don't drink, So when I was asked that about the urges, and I think I've commented this on a video prior, is that like, I truly like, I don't suffer from those anymore. The temptations to drink. And one thing that did help me in the very beginning is I wrote down all the reasons why I knew I needed to stop drinking and why I was an alcoholic and what that would mean to take that drink. And you can keep that little list with you. So like when you have an urge, you pull it out and you read through the whole thing. And then if you're willing to just say, yeah, I accept all that, then you might not be quite at the rock bottom that you want to be, or sometimes it takes people a couple tries to get it, Don't get me wrong. This, me being sober 2 years, I had tried multiple times to stop drinking. The big key difference was that I didn't admit to myself that I was an alcoholic, even though I knew deep down that I was. And I didn't admit it to other people. I didn't live the life and like accept the mantle of like, I'm an alcoholic and that's totally fine. I can't drink anymore and I'm not going to be drinking with you guys. And that's why being vocal about it not only kind of like reiterated what that meant to me and who I was with this new identity, but it allowed everyone else to get on board. And the cool thing about being vocal about it is that it separates the people in your life for you. So you'll have a group over here of people that goes like, I don't want anything to do with that. That's like kind of like a mirror that I don't want to look in at my own life, or they just don't like you, which is totally fine. Like not everyone has to like you. Maybe the fact that you're, becoming sober makes them feel like, fuck it, that guy's not going to be fun anymore. I only like to drink around him. That's totally fine. Like you're going to have to let those people slough off and you want to. And then you have the other group of people that are happy for you and they're supportive and they want you to grow and they're there for you. So you got to be totally accepting of that split, and that change, because ultimately this is a massive change you're making and you need it to be a change, So lastly, I kind of wanted to talk about how this can boil down, with the urges and things, to how you can perpetuate the idea that like eventually the urges will just go away, right? So I think at the core of our alcoholism, we are addicts, right? We have an addiction to alcohol. But being an addict means that we're really good at getting a hold of what we want, and we're good at rationalizing it, and we're good at, lying and sacrificing all these things so that we can accomplish our goal. So if you look at addiction as one side of the coin and passion as the other side of the coin, I feel like most addicts usually have a lot of passion to them. And for me, my passion turned into lifting and getting physically strong as well as mentally strong. But your passion can be funneled into anything. It can be an art form, it can be hiking, it could be learning, it could be going back and getting the degree that you always thought that maybe you weren't ever going to do. Like you can truly do anything that you want to do, just set up a plan and go after it. So when I look at addiction and passion, right? Addiction, you make a lot of sacrifices, but typically they're very negative sacrifices. These aren't sacrifices that you're happy and willing to make. You're kind of like unwillingly doing it because you need to feed your addiction. Whereas passion, let's say you're willing to make sacrifices, but they're positive. So as opposed to going out to those parties late at night, you're getting to bed early because you're sacrificing that night out for something that you have to get up early for, or maybe it's, cutting social time, your social life back a little bit because you have to pour yourself into this passion, into writing that book that you're doing, or into working on your thesis, or into, building the house, whatever your passion is, you're willing to make those sacrifices, and you pour a lot of time and effort and energy into your passion, as well as you did with your addiction. So truly, you're almost kind of just switching gears. You're like, instead of me being an addict and just constantly focusing on alcohol and doing the same thing for the rest of my life until I die, I'm going to switch over here and I'm going to become passionate about something. I'm going to use the tools and the tributaries that are already in my mind, all these mental pathways that are already there and primed, ready to go. I'm just going to replace it with something else that I'm passionate about. And that's why I've been asked before, don't you feel like you've kind of replaced your addiction? Don't you feel like you're just addicted to working out now, or powerlifting? And what I say is that I'm like, if I were addicted to it, I think everything else in my life would suffer. I would suffer the relationships with my friends and family. It would hurt my job. It would hurt my self-esteem or my body or my wallet. But all of those things have only grown from that, So I think that's why sometimes passion and addiction can kind of get confused if you're not looking at it appropriately. And this is how this all ties back into urges. When you are focusing on your passion, you don't have time for the other things in your life that aren't important to you anymore. And working on a passion of yours is so cathartic that it in turn is the reward to yourself. And a lot of the times it does a really good job of filling that void that we were trying to fill in the first place with alcohol, and granted, this is what I've learned. These are all been the experiences that I have gone through, but I've said it in a lot of videos before. I was the most brutal alcoholic I've ever known. I could easily wake up at 10 and be blacked out by noon, and that was a very regular occurrence. I would go to work sometimes and not even remember that I even went into work. I would wake up and look at my pants and be like, wow, I guess I made money last night. I don't remember that at all. And I drove, so it's absolutely possible. If I'm able to accomplish these things, then you are able to accomplish these things. I always appreciate all the comments and the messages that I get and the praise that people give me, but still sometimes it's bizarre and it's mind-blowing that this is now my life and this is who I am now, but I love it every day. And I'm really glad you guys have been able to get something out of these videos. I truly enjoy making them if it's helping people, and it allows me to, chronologically look back at these things as well, so I get benefit out of it as well. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble, as always. Please like, share, subscribe, share this with anyone that you feel like it might help. I always appreciate the feedback, you guys. I love hearing from you, and I hope you guys are having a good day, and have a great rest of your week. Until the next video, as always, have a good one and stay sober.